Hey, perpetual learners. We're back again for another episode, and today is going to be so much fun. I think you're really going to dig this one. So, if you like scary movies, and most of us do, I do, but not too scary, not too gory, but I like scary movies. I like to be a little bit afraid. But if you like a great scary movie, you're going to really love my guest today. He's an amazing young man who had a dream and he decided, I'm going to make movies. And you know what? He is. And he has made tons of movies and he's working on more movies and he wants me to be in one of his movies. So he's fantastic. Got to love him for that at least. Um, but he's going to be with us today telling us his story about everything that's happened to him and how he got started. And he's got a really fascinating story. So you're going to love hearing from him. And I'll give you all the information about who he is and what's going on and just here in a minute. But if you really like spooky movies, then you're going to love this guy. He's an independent filmmaker. He's making his dream come true. He's doing it with his family. And oh my gosh, he's just the cutest little thing you ever saw. So stay tuned because this is going to be awesome. Hi, I'm Honey Gregory, and welcome to my channel, Perpetual Learning, where we are continuously learning great and wonderful, cool things, because if you're not learning, you're dying, and nobody wants to be dead, right? So, and I'm very lucky today. I have a very special guest. I met this adorable guy at the FrankenCon, and we have mutual friends, and he's just so cute. He is a filmmaker, an independent filmmaker. He produces films. He writes scripts, he edits, he does all these great things, which I'm going to have to hit him up for some expert advice at some point here. But I'm so welcome to have August Aguilar. Did I say it right?
You did, yes,
Okay,
great.
great. Okay, great. Because, I'm dyslexic. So I look at all these A's and stuff. I'm like, oh, crap, I'm going to do it wrong. I know I am.
If I presented myself with my middle name, it'd be very confusing then. August Anthony Aguilar. Oh
Oh, my
yes. I'm a
gosh.
triple A.
You're a triple A dude. So your mom liked letter A.
Yeah, I guess so. But thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm very excited to be here and it's lovely to see you.
Oh, I'm so glad to see you. I was just telling you how cute you are. I think you're just
Oh,
adorable.
thank you.
And
Making me blush over here.
yeah, but you and I have been talking for the last couple months since we met at the FrankenCon,
Yes.
and hopefully we get to work together sometime here in the near future.
Love
I know you
to.
got lots of projects going on, but before we get in and dive into all your amazing movies and things, so give us some background because when I heard your story, I was like, oh my gosh, that is just so cool.
Hmm.
Because so many people want, they have dreams and they want to accomplish those dreams and they don't know where to start. And, you had this dream to become a filmmaker and you made it happen. So tell everybody how you did that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a very for me it doesn't I mean it for me it's like it feels like surreal to say yeah I'm a filmmaker now because I remember being in high school. I remember saying out loud for the very first time I want to be a director. I want to make movies, and that was like 15 years old walking in the mall with my high school girlfriend, and she looked at me and said that's a pipe dream.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah. But,
so
people, that's why people think. They think everything's
yeah.
impossible that seems unusual. And, the law of attraction and believing in yourself and your mindset. I mean, it plays a
Yeah.
huge role in whether or not you accomplish your dreams and goals or not.
It totally does. And I'm a big believer in the universe and trying to
Hmm.
like ask the universe for what you want, because I think once you start doing that and believing that you can do that and take those steps forward,
Hmm.
the universe presents different opportunities and different paths for you to follow with your instinct. And then not next thing you know, you're doing the things that you
Right.
wanted to do all along. But yeah, so I remember when I said that out loud for the first time, I did lose that dream for a while. Like I
Yeah.
was like, oh yeah, she's right. That's a pipe dream. So I didn't
Yeah.
really.
And see, that's what happens when people listen to
Mhm.
other people's negative talk because they can't conceive it in their mind.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, and being a young adolescent, guy at that time, I'm still very confused of even, you're always getting told like you got to go to school, you got to get a big boy job, you got to do all these things. So
Yep.
that was kind of like the plan for the longest time. I did go to school. I went to Johnson City, ETSU, and that's really like where the spark kind of kicked back, in
Yeah.
because I was going originally for education. I was like, oh, I'll be a teacher like my parents. And
Uh-huh.
and then I took a mass communication class, and it was like it just kind of sparked like something in me. I was like, oh,
Right.
this is what I like. Media, marketing, PR, the video stuff, the audio stuff, music, everything, that was like
Right.
my stuff. And then I found out they had a film, radio, TV program. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna take all this, I'm gonna change my major, do all that. And then those classes really sparked me to understand like, oh, you can just like go out and shoot things and make a narrative. You can make a little movie, a short film. At the time short films were new to me, so I was like, oh, you can make a short film, that's cool. Like, and
Yeah.
that makes you feel like you're a movie maker, a director.
Yeah.
And I took screenwriting classes that really helped me as a writer. So yeah, like I kind of got out of that. I made some short films in college. They're all kind of cringy to look at now, but of course, but like, I did that. And then I took 2 years off after I went to school. I worked in the news for a few years. So and the news wasn't really my thing. It was just kind of like I kind of fell into it because I thought that's the big boy job I was supposed to have.
Well, it's
And
kind of probably a little dull too, because you've got an outgoing personality and you really like a lot of hands-on. I could
yeah,
tell from your personality, but sitting there doing the news would be like sleep.
well, it was tough because it was like, well, I didn't realize at the time, but it was very political. It's very
Mm,
aggressive. If it bleeds, it leads. I was out there
mm-hmm.
shooting all this like horrible stuff, like
Yeah.
car wrecks, fires, things like that, talking to people about really horrendous things. And it just like didn't make sense to me. I was like, this is not what I like. I'm not even getting paid enough to do this. Like
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
crazy. And I was new in Knoxville at the time, so when I was working these overnight shifts, like 3 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon, and I just saw that for the first time on Facebook, I saw an ad for the Knoxville Horror Film Festival, and I was like, huh, something hit me where it was like, you need to make a movie for this. Like, you need to try
Yeah.
to make a movie for this. And this was 2 years after I graduated. So I haven't touched really touched a camera for a creative project in that long. Didn't have any gear, didn't have anything. I texted my dad, Frank Aguilar. He's based in Philadelphia, where I'm originally from. And I was just like, hey, I want to make a movie for this Knoxville Horror Film Festival. What do you think? And he was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. What do you think? And,
Ah.
we started spitting ideas right away. And then within like that 2 month span of time, ended up writing a short film script, bought all this gear, relearned a lot of stuff on YouTube tutorial wise, and set out to do it. And we shot it in a day, and it got in the film festival like later that year.
Wow.
And like it was perceived well, and then it just kind of never stopped from there. Like things
Right.
just kind of getting. We had a second project lined up in Philadelphia for like 3 months later, and then it was like music videos, and then another film, and then another film, and more music videos, and just like the wheels just kept going and going and going and going. And now I've got this Strange Films universe and Strange Films brand that has kind of a life of its own. I need an assistant for real. Like it's getting really tough
That's
to
where you're
handle it
getting.
all.
That's great.
But
That's
yeah,
good news though, right?
we're here, we're doing it.
It's
And
the problem you want to have when you're so
yeah,
busy you
yeah,
need help, right?
it's exciting, but it's very
Yeah.
challenging. And yeah, definitely I'm kind of in this position. Like, by all means, it's not like where I'm not paying my mortgage with my films yet. Hopefully I
Right.
one day, but like
Yeah.
it's definitely like I am in a position now where it's very exciting, and people do look at me as like, oh, that's the filmmaker of Strange Films. Like
Yeah.
that's Strange Films over there. And that's really exciting for me. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is kind of cool.
That's
It's
so
crazy
cool.
too.
No, it's fantastic. I mean, because you conceived an idea,
Mm-hmm.
you believed in yourself, you made a plan, you spoke that out into the universe,
Mm-hmm.
and you waited and things just started falling into place. I mean, that is the secret to everything, right? I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
you got to come up with the idea first, and then you got to take steps forward, and you have to believe in yourself and then let it kind of happen. Um, so you go to the conventions to show everybody your films. And so tell me about all these movies you've made now that you're like rolling.
Yeah, well, so now we're 7 years into this thing, and within the 7 years, I've probably made a couple of dozen short films, kind of like a couple micro features. I've done a couple dozen music videos, and so there's all this kind of. I've got a lot of work to show for. So it's like
Yeah.
now I've been doing the convention scenes for, I'd say probably about 4 years now, on and off. So I'm trying to get a little bit more. Like next year, my plan is to be in even more conventions. But yeah, conventions are a great way to present yourself, to a mass audience who may not
Hmm.
be familiar with your work. So,
And make
um,
friends and contacts,
yeah, of
because
course.
contacts, I mean, I can't tell people enough, so many gurus tell you, you want to be successful, contacts, relationships. I mean, without
Yes.
relationships, you'll go nowhere.
Totally. And that was even something I learned in school too. So I've always been very aware of like try to meet as many people as you can, try to see
Mhm.
who can present opportunities to you. And you never know, like if you do, if you present an opportunity for someone else, they're going to look out for you maybe later down the road as well. So
Mhm.
yeah, I've always been trying to like really been aware of like meeting it, being grateful for every person I meet, especially if they're supporting my work.
Right.
And I've always been very open with my work, like letting anybody kind of check out any of my stuff online at any time. So that's kind of always been like the messaging without conventions, but conventions itself are really great because when they see the table, the banner, the
Mhm.
catalogs there, the DVDs, the Blu-rays and posters, and it's like, oh, this guy, he's oh, he
He's
does
the
have
real
something
deal,
here. It's
man.
like
He's
there's
not.
like a lot of stuff, yeah, and yeah, and I even meeting you there at the
Yeah.
convention was, I mean, I wouldn't, a few years ago, I would have maybe half of what I have now. So I wouldn't probably feel as confident showing like, hey, I'm Strange Films with everything. But now I definitely know like my brand, enough work I can probably prove to anybody. Like I can present a project, pitch a project, or whatever that is. So it's like meeting you or anybody else is like, hey, look at this catalog. This is
Yeah.
who Strange Films is and what we're trying to do and what we're all about.
Yeah.
And again, just be grateful for the time you spend with anybody you can meet and hopefully that follows up with something like this, have an
Yeah.
interview or
Yeah.
or just someone who wants to watch that movie later on,
Right.
or they think of you for a project later on. So
Yeah.
conventions are really cool. I've met a lot of wonderful people over the years, and I'm excited to do more.
Yeah. I don't blame you. It sounds fantastic. And I remember coming around the corner and there's Jordan. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's a familiar face. Didn't I
Yeah,
just do
yeah.
something with him recently? And then I see you standing there and I'm like, what's all this about? And I look at your booth, I'm like, dang, this is good stuff,
Thank
and
you.
the
Yeah.
posters were amazing and your attitude was really amazing. So positive and upbeat, and then when you flattered me with like, hey, I want you in one of my films. I was like,
Yeah.
dang, all right. Oh my God, I haven't done any acting in forever. So I don't know how good that'll be. But so yeah, I definitely want to work with you. And it's your belief in yourself and you're trying hard. And I tell my daughter every day, I said, the first thing, no matter what you do, the first time you're not going to do great at it. And you're
Mhm.
going to get better as you go. So you're going to fail. You're going to feel crummy, but you
Totally.
keep trying and you keep doing and you keep learning. And, this perpetual continuous learning thing is what, my show's about, because you're never going to get to where you want to be unless you fell up, you fell upwards. And, like I've done so many things in my life, I'm like, dang, that was crap, but you just
Yeah.
keep going and get better.
Yeah, you really do. I mean, I think any successful person, if you look at like motivational quotes or anything like
Hmm.
that, they'll say the same thing where it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I want to fail because I know like I'm growing towards,
Yep.
like what I'm trying to achieve. And I think the difference of people who want to be successful in any avenue, it doesn't have to be filmmaking or creatively, but like, if you get stopped by one failure and you just don't keep
Hmm.
going, you're never going to see what that could be like. So if you
Right.
if you have a failure, micro or macro, you can and you push through that, yeah, you're gonna grow stronger, and then like you're gonna learn from those mistakes and do better for the next time and the next time after, and you'll just keep getting better and better. Like by all means, I don't think I'm an expert at anything at this point, even though I kind of do have a really good instinct of what I'm doing now, with especially when it comes to the shoots and talking with people. But it's I'm not an expert, and I try to stay very, very humble about what I
Mm,
do, because I know at any moment I could have a failure of a kind, and
mhm,
I'm in too deep now to make that failure like stop me from
mm,
keep going. So it's just
mhm.
like, okay, all right, that did not work. That's
Yeah,
fine. We
and that's
have to
okay. Sometimes
assess
things
that.
work,
Yeah.
sometimes they don't, but you have a good support group too. Like your whole
Yeah.
family is involved and all your friends are really supportive, right?
Yes, totally, and I'm very, very grateful for that too. Like I said, my dad Frank, he's we're pretty much like the head. We started this thing together, so me and him are kind of like the creative partnership,
Mhm.
um, to oversee everything. And then I've got like my mom, who's very, very supportive of everything. She's like my number one fan.
Of
Like,
course.
yeah. So I've had my brother in projects, my sister in projects. My other dad, Virgil, like every single member of my family has been a part of this,
Are they
been
the
a part of this
actors
journey.
and the cameraman and the lighting
Yeah,
person and everything?
mostly actors or behind the scenes, and then of course I do have a really good friend circle that I've kept pretty tight over the years, and they're
Yeah.
all like, the biggest fans too, and I support them with their individual projects as well, because that's just kind of what you do with these people in your life. You just try
Right.
to give back as much as you're getting. So,
Yes. Oh my
and that's
gosh.
yeah, and that's something I like to do also for like anybody if I can, with filmmakers or
Mhm.
especially people who are just starting out. Like we'll get new actors who've never maybe even been in a project before to be a
Mhm.
part of Strange Films a lot of the times, just because it's like I can see they want it really bad. I can see they're really interested or excited or things like that, or they're a big fan, whatever it is, and it's just like, I'm gonna give you a chance here, and I
Mhm.
think that you have something about you that I can see.
Opportunity.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
like, so come on, and that ends up being a really positive and exciting moment for them, and for us it's a lot of fun, and that's like a memory for me. It makes me feel good to know, like, yeah, I gave them, we gave them a shot
Yeah.
for their first project. Now look at them, they're doing all this other stuff, and that's really cool. Even if they don't continue acting, it's like they'll have that memory at least for the
Mhm.
rest of their life, and that's cool for me too. So
That's really
yeah.
nice and special because I remember when I first started out as an actress, trying to get your foot in the door and trying to get that first, gone on 100 auditions and everybody's like, nah, she doesn't know what she's doing. She's new. She's inexperienced. We've never seen her before. She needs some more lessons. Like I had someone say, oh, you need more acting lessons. I'm like,
Mm.
okay, well, and it hurts your feelings and, you keep doing, you keep learning and you keep taking classes. And then someone finally gives you that break. And now you've got one thing to put on your resume when you
Yeah,
go out again. But one thing is better than nothing at
for
all.
sure.
And
Definitely.
a lot of filmmakers don't want to take a chance on someone who's new or has no experience because they want their film to be great. They're putting their heart and soul and all their money into it. And so they want experience, but you can't get it unless someone gives you a break. So it's nice that you're, staying humble and, you know, giving back and giving people opportunities. That's really cool. I mean, you don't hear that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of stems down to a lot of my childhood stuff, like a lot of things I went through in high school, and even early on when I started Strange Films. Like, no one ever gave me, the chance. Like, I
Hmm.
had to do everything for myself. I started working when I was 14 years old. Like,
Yeah.
I remember my parents were always great growing up. But like, I remember like we didn't have a lot of money growing up, so
Hmm.
it's kind of like one of those things where like, I want these kind of clothes, or I want
Hmm.
this kind of stuff for me. And being a high school kid, middle school kid, that's like what you do with all the other kids. And they're
Right.
like, well, if you want it, you should go get a job and get it yourself. And I was like,
Yeah.
I guess I will. So it's like one
Yeah.
of those things, it's like, and then, and when I first started making films, it was one of those things where it's like, I didn't know anybody in Knoxville. I didn't know anybody around. So like, I didn't have a mentor or a friend who was doing that. So it's just kind of like, I guess I have to do this by myself. And,
Hmm.
when you cast for the first time, it's kind of all very unknown. So work with some people who had acting experience, some people who didn't, and you just kind of come up with this project. And even if it's not perfect by all means for the first time, you did it. And now it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you just kind of do that again and again and again. And so now I think, yeah, I think now it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I remember how I felt a lot of times in my life, when I
Hmm.
felt like no one gave me a chance or a shot on
Hmm.
things, or I wasn't able to, I didn't have the luxury of things. So
Yeah.
I'm like, if I can ever do that for someone, help them out, give them a little extra step or something, like that's what I want to do. And I do the same thing with my podcast. Like, I have a lot of
Mhm.
guests on my podcast that, maybe they've never been on a podcast before, and
Right.
they're filmmakers who are just now starting out, or they don't have a lot of reach. So it's like one of
Mhm.
those things where it's like, yeah, if I can put you on my platform because I really like you, you're cool, and you have a good personality. It's
Yep.
like, and I think I see something really special with your work and stuff. So like,
Mhm.
why not jump on my show?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the mentality I like to have.
Yeah, reciprocity means a lot. And I find there's a lot of people that are like, "Give me," but, "Oh, I don't have time to give you. I'm
Yeah.
special, you're not, but I needed you just to do this, and now I don't need you anymore." I see that a lot. Like, people are like, "Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, do for me, do for me, do for me," but they
Yeah.
don't give back, and the give back is the secret that a lot of people don't really understand. If you really wanna truly be successful, you give more than you receive.
Hmm.
And a lot of people don't get that. They think they're losing something when they give something away, instead of realizing they're actually receiving, it's multiplying. The universe is like, oh, you're giving stuff away. Well, then let me give you a bunch of stuff because I know you're going to give more away.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people they're so controlling and they just want to hang on, like, oh, do for me, do for me, do for me. And they're just, and they have no integrity. They say they're going to do something and they don't, and it's like, oh my gosh.
I think is that kind of that mentality of, it's like there's not enough food on the table, for everyone. It's like there's a lot of people who are like that, where it's like, no, if I
scarcity, they're
yeah,
worried about
exactly.
scarcity.
Like, no, because I'm trying to get to this level, and I can't waste my time and resources on you because you're nowhere near where I am, or whatever that is. And it's like, no, there's enough food at the table for everybody. The table just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, as we've seen in history with, I mean, we're like, even right now, filmmaking is it's kind of a flooded market because everybody's a filmmaker now. Anybody can be a filmmaker.
Well, I think COVID did a lot of that. People are like, I'm bored. I got a camera.
Yeah, totally. And it's like, and that can be discouraging when you look at it like that, in that kind of scope. It's not as easy as, like, I mean, especially with social media, it's so hard to kind of stand out than maybe it was with a one-hit wonder cult classic, in the 90s or whatever it was. It's like, it's a little harder now. It feels flooded, but that still doesn't mean that, the community of filmmaking and indie filmmakers or actors, creatives in general, like, they can't, like, just still support each other and show and encourage each other, and collaborate with each other and things like that. Because I think, I guess I'm more like you said. It's like, if you're trying to give and give and give, like, the universe somehow is going to take that, and that's going to spread. That's going to spread a little bit, with, like, people will talk more about you to others in a positive way, like, to say you got to work with them, or this is what they did for us, or things like that. And that's going to help you out in a longer cause, versus if you have a negative experience, that's gonna taint your status a little bit more, later on, and that might not be good for you later. So
right. Well, I try to explain to people, it's kind of like having a seed. So if you have a walnut seed and you hang on to it, all you have is a walnut seed. But the moment you plant it, you grow something beautiful, and you have a billion walnut seeds every single season. And a lot of people just, I'm going to hang on to that nut, man. I'm not giving that away because someone might get it, And it's like, but there's just people with limited beliefs, and you can't do anything about it. So you just do what you can do, and then you continue to foster relationships with people who get and understand how the universe works, because that's the way you're going to be successful.
Totally. Yeah. I've planted a
Yeah.
lot of seeds over the years, and I've seen some of them grow, and some of them are still blooming,
Right.
So
everything
seeds,
in its own time, right?
Of course. Yeah. Things take time.
So, my phone's ringing. So, you told me you had a certain style of shooting. Like, you get in, get it out. You're quick. You're not one of those takes 6 months to shoot something. And, you just, I don't know, what you call it, guerrilla
It's kind of
filming or something interesting like that. I was like, what? You shoot a whole movie in like 3 days? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. I've shot a lot of I think my average shoots are usually one full day, maybe two now, but, like, especially because the films are getting bigger now, so it's like, but yeah, I'm it's kind of like that guerrilla style filmmaking, where you just kind of get in. I'm a 2-take kind of guy if it's really good, 3 or 4 takes if we kind of have to work it a little bit. But after that 4th take, it's like, all right, we got to keep moving, and I'm not like a rush director where it's like I'm mean about it. It's just like, I tell people right up front, like, all right, guys, I really appreciate everyone being here. Thank you so much. Here's the script. I know I know you've all been working really hard towards it. Just look at it as a blueprint, because we're probably going to be really loosey goosey. We're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be unorthodox. It's all handheld. Like, I shoot 99% like handheld. And it's like, I really trust the actors just as much as they're trusting me, and I trust the environment and things like that. So, I'll improvise a lot of stuff too. So if I see something that I didn't even imagine the script, whether it's the actor or the location, I'm like, let's do this real quick too. Like, because and it's just because we're moving so fast. And I think when you do it like that, I don't know, it's like, I kind of shoot to edit also. Like, I'm like realizing like how I want the film to look like in my head, because I'm the editor also. So it's like, I think that also helps me move really quick. And I think, between all these different elements that are giving me a lot of good energy and a lot of good takes and things like that, there's no need to spend 12 hours setting up 3 different shots and and
The whole day for one
doing like
scene.
20 different takes to make sure you got it right. I mean,
Yeah.
I like that live on the edge kind of
Yeah.
style. I mean, and I know, when bigger budgets get in play and things like that, things will be different, but you got to have to look at it now. I mean, if everyone's spending their time with you, and a lot of people have families, jobs, things like that, so you have to make the most out of their time. So,
Yeah.
and I'm going to respect their time and their efforts being there, so I don't want them to have to spend the entire day and all night and things like that. And I don't have like essentially a giant budget or anything like that, so I have
Yeah.
to be really strategic with my time and my resources and things like that. So I know as long as I've got my camera, some decent audio around me, my lights and things like that. Like I know how to quickly set all that up. I know how
Mm.
I can usually bring in 2 or 3 guys that know how to do all that stuff as well. And that's just my job to kind of run and gun real quick with all the actors and the location and just get what I'm looking for. And I
Right.
write in a way where I always tell this people, but like I write my scripts in a way where I know I can shoot physically with my 2 hands
Wow.
because it's easy for me to be ambitious in that sense. I
Mm-hmm.
know what I can do with my 2 hands.
Right.
So even if the script looks super ambitious and wild and things like that, it's like chances are it's like, no, there's a really simple way to do it. You just have
Yeah.
to be smart about it
Yeah.
and be a little creative and be on the fly if things change. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just kind of how it's worked for me. I mean, one of my films, Raven, it's 26 minutes long, and people will watch that and be like, "Wow!" Like, because it's been one of our most like critically acclaimed short films in the universe so far, which I'm really grateful for. It's won a few awards, but people have asked me like, "How long did it take you to shoot that?" It's like really good, and I'm like, 10 hours. It's like we spent the whole day, but 10 hours, like we just did it like just that day.
Oh my
We've shot
gosh.
movies in 6 hours. We've shot movies in 4 hours. The average is usually about 7 or 8. But and we'll shoot. I mean, a full short film in that day. I mean,
That
it's
just
it's
blows my mind because I've seen some of your posters and talked to you about some of them where you had people like they were made into, creatures or something
Mhm.
for a scary movie. And I'm like, my gosh, it probably took hours just getting the makeup and stuff on. So how could
Yeah.
you do this in a day? And my mind is like blown.
Yeah, and that now, like with the makeup stuff, that does take the longest. And
Mm.
that's like the thing where I have to kind of keep in mind too when it comes to shooting. So, like, really, when it comes down to it's like, let's get everything we possibly can before the makeup starts because
Mm.
the makeup, depending on the makeup artist and depending on the practical effects, it could take anywhere from 15, 20, 30 minutes to 45 minutes to 3 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when we did a passenger, that was a 3 hour makeup process.
Oh,
So that
wow.
took up some time.
Yeah.
So I had to shoot everything in the film that didn't involve the monster first while he was getting made up. So it
I
was like,
see.
so it was a 6 hour shoot altogether. But
Wow.
for the first 3 hours, it was everything not with the monster. And then
Right.
once he was ready to go, the last 2 hours was monster, all that stuff. And then pretty much like an hour to finish up and pack and get him undone, and that was it. And so I just try to shoot everything I can before all that stuff because I know it's going to take a lot of time.
Yeah.
Or you just do things simultaneously at the same time too. So it's just being strategic with the timing, placement of things and
Mm.
actors and whatnot. It's like again, it can take time. It can if it can feel rushed, but at the same time, there's a lot of strategy behind everything. So
Mhm.
I've been really fortunate enough that it's worked out for pretty much every project so far.
That's really cool because I'm thinking as an actor, like I think of stuff, like Jim Carrey did The Grinch and he talked about, the days on end in that makeup and he just felt like he was suffocating, was suffering
Mhm.
from like depression and other things after a while because it was so hard and he had to do some breathing and some special
Yeah.
techniques and he had to have a coach to keep him from losing his mind, So as an actor, if you're going to be made up, with makeup and costume or whatever, the least amount of time, the better.
Yeah, totally. And I've been fortunate enough again with my actors who have undergone like a lot of heavy practical makeup. Like the
Mhm.
Lion's Den, we had my friend Michael Mathis as the lion, and
Mm.
we were shooting scenes while he was getting made up, which was a 2.5 hour process, and he was completely transformed into like this lion, half man, half lion creature. It
Wow.
was amazing, and my whole thing is also is making sure that actor is comfortable. So, in between takes or whatever, I'd step in there, see how it's looking. I'm like, oh my God, this looks great. I'm like, Michael, you okay? You really comfortable? He's like, oh no, I'm good. Making sure like he has what he needs. And then utilizing that time as soon as it's done, because
Yeah.
again, yeah, like you said, it could be very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It could be heavy or whatever it is, hard to breathe, or the contact lens can be itchy on your eyes, things like that.
Mm.
So it's like just trying to keep all that stuff in mind too. So it's not we're just lollygagging for 2 hours before we start shooting, and then we're going to spend another 4 hours shooting those scenes. It's
Yeah.
just really trying to be aware of the situation, aware of people's feelings and time and things like that. And yeah, once he was done, it was like, all right, flying time, and we just started shooting again. And yeah, so
Wow,
6 hour
that's so cool.
day.
So, how many films have you done so far total?
I think between all of our major films and like our skits and little shorts and stuff like that, it's probably, I think we're at 24 films.
Wow. So,
Yeah,
which
with
one's your
the
favorite?
it's tough. That's tough. It's because I think about this a lot. I have about, I think I have like three major favorites, and one is Center City, which is like it's our second film, but it maybe looks like something we've done. We've been doing this for a long time. I don't know
Mm,
how I pull it off like
the
that, but it's like
quality
kind of,
is the way you like it.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, and it's kind of just like this. I kind of call it like my Mona Lisa of all my projects. It's just like it's a beautiful film. It's black and white. It's a film noir. It's original jazz music. It's all set and shot in Philadelphia with all Philadelphia
Oh,
actors and on location. And
nice.
it's um it's a really interesting film. It's a crime noir. It's not so much horror, so it's really cool. I really like that film a lot. And me and my dad got really close after making that movie, so
Aw.
it's very special to me. I'd say the most entertaining film I think to date right now is He Comes to Kill. I love that movie. And that was really a big test for me just to say, oh, I can shoot. I think I can get to a feature film doing what I'm doing at this point, because it was just kind of strategizing how to shoot like, essentially six short films across six different weekends and then splicing
Right.
it all together. So
Wow.
that was, and we had a sold out premiere for that. I've sold a lot of DVDs and Blu-rays for that. We're doing
Hmm.
the sequel next year. It's a
Oh,
it's a it's
cool.
a really it's a really fun film. It's kind of like my homage to the original Halloween for John Carpenter,
Ah.
which is like my all-time favorite horror
So, is there
movie.
is
So
there a part in there for an old lady?
hey, we're gonna get you in there. We can get you in there. I told you I want to work with you.
I
I still
know it's
got,
gonna be
I
so
have,
much fun.
I already have ideas, but
Hey, I've
yeah.
got some time in
So
December.
love it. Okay, all right. Let's talk after this. That'd be
All
great.
right, I love it.
Yeah, and then I
So,
would say Raven's probably the other one,
I like
because
the title, The Raven or
yeah,
Raven.
Raven,
Yeah.
it's a serial killer, but he's an old retired serial killer, so he never got caught, and he's
Ah.
trying to do one more before he dies because he has health issues and he's about to die. And it's a really,
One
really,
last more
yeah,
accomplishment.
it's
I'm
a
gonna kill
real
somebody.
it's kind of a drama, but at the same time it's a horror film.
Yeah.
It's a really cool film. I like that one a lot. So
Very cool. Oh my gosh. Well, I think we have like 5 more minutes. So, what tips or tricks or what do you want to tell people about the filmmaking industry? What's your message you want to make sure people know?
man, it's just I think you got to stay positive about what you want, and I think be realistic too about expectations and people, like, because no one's going to hand you something, first of all. So if you want to go for something, whether it's filmmaking or photography or acting, whatever, it's like you're just going to have to take that first step. And that's
Right.
okay, because it's scary. It's going to be scary and it's going to be hard too. But if you look closely enough too and ask for help, there's a lot of people who want to support that and will
Hmm.
support you. And you can just kind of just get your feet wet one thing at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself, and don't think that the first time is going to change everything. And also it could make you feel a little bit more stressed about everything. But if you really
Hmm.
want it, you just got to keep taking those first steps. There's so many free resources on YouTube and online. Like I said, if you're in a film community, especially like Knoxville or something, it's a great community to be in. So there's plenty of people who want to help and do that thing. And yeah, just believe in yourself and have fun with it too. And that's another thing I like to do on my sets is like, it's not, I think that's why another unorthodox way I do things is just like, if things go chaotic or whatever, it's like we're all gonna have a good laugh about it too, because that's just like, let's have fun. If we're not having fun doing this, then what's the point of
Yeah.
doing it
Yeah.
at all? Because
Yeah.
that's another part of why I love it so much. It's fun. I love movies. I love, being able to tell stories. And I just think if you can have fun with it and enjoy the process and the passion behind it, then you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Just keep at it. And if you really want it bad enough, and you keep taking those steps, you'll be very surprised what can happen, different opportunities and things like that. So,
And I think people are like, how do I meet these people? And what I notice is that at the conventions,
mhm.
for $50 for a ticket, you can go in there and meet dozens
Oh
of
yeah,
actors and horror host or sci-fi host or filmmakers or whatever.
mhm.
You just go in there with a card even and just say, hey, I want to get involved in some things,
For sure. I mean,
because it's
conventions are great.
yeah.
There's Facebook groups for
Mm,
like I know Knoxville has like Facebook, Knoxville filmmakers groups, Knoxville
mhm,
actors, things like
mhm.
that. There's always like things you can do online or in person just to kind of just be like, hey, I'm really interested. And a lot of times these filmmakers and actors, especially indie, we're if anyone's really interested in talking to us about it, chances are we're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, yes, you really want to talk to us about that?"
Yeah.
Like, it's not no one really. A lot of us don't have egos, so
Yeah.
it's just like everyone's people. You can just gonna be like, "Hey, my name is so and so, and I'm interested in being an actor. Or, I really like what you do. How'd you do it?" And
Yeah.
chances are you're gonna get something out of knowledge or
Yeah.
use out of that, and
Yeah.
that's a good thing. So,
Yeah, make relationships, meet people any way you can. And when people are at the conventions, I notice that they want to talk to you. That's why they got a booth there. They're
mhm,
open and hey,
totally,
even if the rest of the time they're grumpy old people in their room or something, they don't want to talk to you. But when they're at those kind of events, then that's what they're there to do. They want to
yeah.
meet people. Um, well, I still got to get you my script. I want you to help me with my script
Hey,
because I just
hey,
love your attitude, and I
thank
think you would
you.
do a really good job with it. And but it's full feature, it's long, and it might be complicated. So this might be a challenge for you. I think
Well,
you're
I
up
do
to
like a
it
good
now.
challenge. I
I
like
think I think you're up
challenges.
to it now because I
Yeah.
think you got all the experience under your belt. So it would be really
Yes.
awesome. So how can
Awesome.
people find you?
It's yeah, if anyone checks out Strange Film Studios, we can do strangefilmstudios.com, our YouTube channel, Facebook, Instagram. Those are the main platforms we like to push on. My name's August Aguilar, so if you look up my name on any of those platforms as well, you'll see me. Um, I did a Google search on me, which is probably not something I should be doing, but
Yeah, don't do that.
I was just curious, and you can actually Google me now, and Strange Films will just pop right up. So IMDb,
Cool.
all that good stuff. But yeah, you can check out any Strange Films movies as today, like on YouTube, on the website for free
Oh,
anytime.
oh
And
my
of
gosh,
course,
that's wonderful.
if you're a big physical media collector, you can buy that stuff on DVD and stuff like that too.
Mm,
We do offer that kind of stuff, but I'd rather people just watch it to kind of get to know who we
hmm.
are um, now. And if they really want to support, there's other ways to support as well.
Well,
But
now I know what I'm doing this weekend.
yeah, check it out. Strange Films.
Well, this has been so much fun. I'm so
Oh,
glad
thank
we
you.
got to do this
Of
today.
course. Yeah,
I
I
think
really appreciate the time. Thank you.
yeah, it's really cool because I just think you're awesome. And so I am really looking forward to it. I'm not BSing you or blowing smoke or whatever. Um, and so let's figure something out. And if people will love you as much as I do, if they just give you a chance and check out your stuff, it'd be great. And I hope to see you soon at another convention if we're not doing something
Yes.
soon. But I want to be like the killer. I want to go, you
I
know?
I
Yep.
just rewatched Psycho, so yeah.
Yep. Yep. I want to do something really cool.
All right, yeah, I
Because
definitely would love to
they
talk
always
about
cast me
ideas.
as the blonde girl. I'm like, no, I want to be the killer.
Yeah.
Something
One last
exciting.
thing, yeah, for sure. One last thing also I like to say, because I know that's something we kind of talked about. You always get maybe typecast. People get
Yeah.
typecast a lot. And
Yeah.
I like to take the typecast and I like to throw that out the window.
Yep.
I like to see, I know people have a lot to say, a lot of potential, a lot of depth behind them. And I like
Yeah.
to show that as much as I can with my filmmaking. And I think that's something
We
we
have,
could do. So
we have
yes.
1 minute. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
trying
I
to
know.
cut
I
you off.
saw it.
So,
Yeah,
thank you so much. I enjoyed
of
it.
course.
I want to have you back on again sometime here in the
Please.
future.
I'm very grateful. Thank you for
All
your
right.
time. I would love to.
Thanks. Talk to you later.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.